Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we're going to be talking about the overall crypto market. So sit back, relax, and before we fully jump on into this video, I do just want to ask guys, could hit that like button. It does help the channel grow immensely, and of course, I always do greatly appreciate it. But with that being said, let's just dive in. So I'm not going to take too much time to focus on altcoins. Of course, I will talk a little bit about a few. I'm not going to chart them. I'm not going to talk about the charts just because right now we shouldn't really be focused on altcoins. We should be more so focusing on Bitcoin. On the 24-hour span, though, we are still seeing some of our positions up. Like, for example, Algo is still up, almost 10%, which I'm loving that position in terms of our taking point. But ultimately, all of our other altcoin positions are either in the red or still down. But yesterday I told you I'm focusing on a little bit of some altcoins that are down significantly, more so, ones that did have an incredible year. Like, for example, like KDA back in 2021, they had an incredible year of growth. Even the graph and stuff like that. I've been watching a lot of those tokens specifically that are down significant. But again, I'm not, focusing too much on altcoins. Right now it's more so on Bitcoin. So let's talk about that. So first off, I do ask you guys, how are your altcoin positions actually doing right now? Are they in the red? Are they down significantly? Are they, are you getting a little bit worried? Well, I want you guys to understand that, everyone is believing that we are in a bear market. Everyone has accepted the fact that that's it, it's over. There's no altcoin. Alts barely even ran, by the way, in 2021. Again, yes, there was a lot of gains in terms of like Doge and stuff like that, but that's like the bare minimum tokens. For the most part, we didn't even, hit peak euphoria. And I could, tell you guys right now that 2017, 2018 to 2020 to 2021 did not look nearly alike at all. But when we look at the overall chart here, when we look at the total two, I don't know why everyone's panicking. I get it, like, things are down significantly. There's altcoins that are down 90+% and stuff like that. But when we look at this overall chart, we could come down and test, the April demand zones. Sure, I wouldn't mind that. This would be at about like $870 billion. We'd still be in a little bit of a higher, low position, but I'm not dead set on seeing that test. In fact, I'm more so watching to see if we test the August demand zone at roughly $900 billion, almost exact. But everybody's still betting on the fact that we will see a retest of the 200-day EMA, specifically this blue line here at roughly $567.75 billion. And coincidentally, we are almost to the point where this is at the June timeframe lows of roughly $587.97 billion. I don't believe that that happens. In fact, I think that altcoins right now are actually holding up pretty well opposed to what Bitcoin has been doing. Now, talking about Bitcoin, are we preparing for more downside? Well, shout out to Credible Crypto for this, but we do here, and he wants more. Again, this doesn't mean we must drop to these levels to fill these bids, but as stated previously, these bids have been filled more often than not. So I personally think there's a higher likelihood that we see these levels than I did before. And these, of course, are between roughly the almost 33.5K zone to roughly like 35.5K. Of course, there could be some stink bids here in terms of a scam wick down to those levels to get those filled, but in my opinion, I would not be trying to short Bitcoin here. I would not be trying to short any positions that I'm in at all because it just does not make sense to. And I've said this multiple times, and everybody's laughing. Everybody's saying, bear market, bear market. I can't believe that you're even bullish at this point. Guys, when we look at the overall charts, there's really nothing to be worried too much about. For an example, a lot of people, and I know that a lot of individuals on crypto Twitter specifically have been saying, well, what about Bitcoin going all the way down to the 200-day EMA, right? Or the 200 EMA, sorry. Well, when we look at this, right, got to think Bitcoin is close to the bottom when we are making records, like possibly 6 straight weekly red candles in a row. For an example, we do see here Bitcoin has never closed 6 red 1-week candles, so a low time frame relief rally seems probable soon. However, it also hasn't engaged the 100 EMA like this without eventually falling to the 200 EMA. Stocks still in a downtrend, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. And a lot of people are saying false. There was 6 red candles in late 2018. Guys, that is only on one particular exchange, but not on the index. When we look at the actual index for Bitcoin, there was no 6 weekly candles in a row where Bitcoin closed out red. This is what I've been trying to address to everyone that is saying, Bitcoin looks so bearish right now. Guys, we are on the 6th weekly red candle here. I'm expecting for a move above this 37K range, more so this 37.2K 786 level, for a nice push above this floor model that we built out in February. Now, once we do get over this area, prepare yourselves, because I do believe that we will be targeting those nice fib levels up at about 42.6K. But as everyone is expecting that 200 EMA at about roughly almost 27K down here, I don't believe that that level gets targeted at all. And a lot of people have been saying, all right, well, what about the demand zone going all the way back to the weekly candle of December 2020, right, where we were at 26K? Not seeing it. Also, even down to like 23K, I'm still not seeing it. When we look at things around the charts right now, I would not be bothered at all by a little bit more downside to possibly, like, test these bottom candles at roughly 34K, to have people say, all right, well, that's it, the structure is broken, there's no higher lows here, it's done, it's over. We might even come down to, like, for an example, test the levels that we've seen back in May, which would be like roughly 33.5K. I think that that would be, enough to shake out almost all of the hands that are in the market looking at this pattern and seeing if it's going to break down in terms of those higher lows. But ultimately, we hit the bottom of this demand zone perfectly at about 35.274K, which is the bottom candle of the July timeframe candle. And when we talk about this, right, this structure still looks pretty good. The integrity of this still looks pretty good. I'm not too worried just yet, and of course you guys will know when I do get worried. I will tell you guys if I see something that is, in my opinion, bearish, but until we do break this structure, I'm not going to get too concerned. Downside is not fully limited here, I will say that. And when we take, altcoin positions, always have a stop loss in mind. I never run stop losses in terms of automatic stop losses. I usually, just run manual ones. For example, if I take a position on Bitcoin right now to long, right, I would either have my stop loss at the bottom of this candle wick here in terms of a manual one. So once I see like 32.9K, that's it, I'm out of that position. Or even if I see, these candles being targeted at about like 33.9K, almost 34K, I would be out. And that's just a manual, stop loss. But when we look at things happening around crypto, right? So we do see Bitcoin is retesting this trend line. Now, this is a multi-year trend line going all the way back to the November timeframe. We do see this, and honestly, when we look at this, I'm not too concerned on this at all. I've said multiple times on Twitter that, as everyone is getting fairly bearish, I'm not going to worry too much until we do see a very, very strong drop in terms of stocks. Now, yes, did we see that? Yeah, 100%. In terms of capitulation on the S&P 500, yeah, we seen that yesterday, right? But when we look at this, look at where we are retesting, the 786. We retested the 786 back in May of 2021. We had slight candle wicks below it, but we do see exactly what ended up happening from there, right? That rally all the way to December. So when we look at this, I'm not too worried about the S&P 500. And the reason why I'm watching the S&P 500 closely is simply because when we talk about the correlation between the S&P 500 and Bitcoin, it's actually pretty interesting. And we're going to be talking about that here shortly, but I also want to show you guys the Dow Jones. So again, the Dow Jones, we could come down and retest that 786, but I'm not looking forward to seeing that. In fact, I think that when we talk about this level, we are most likely going to test those demand zones going back to March of 2021, which we've already seen. We've seen the candle wicks. This candle wick from March of 2021 takes us all the way down to about 32K, almost exact. If we do see that, then hey, I'm totally fine with that. But as we did see, that massive capitulation event, we also seen a slight reversal. In fact, we've seen a slight reversal of over 600 plus points on the Dow Jones to close out a pretty strong level. I mean, it's not extremely strong, but we are still at around that demand zone of March of 2021. So again, I'm not seeing the structure being broken too much, and I'm not seeing a very bearish momentum on this chart just yet. In terms of where we could head to, yeah, if we do break the 786, that's where I do kind of, wash my hands a little bit here, and I'm just saying like, all right, yeah, things look very, very bearish. Am I saying that we are in a bullish market? No, I'm actually neutral right now. I'm still long-term very bullish, short-term bearish. But when we look at things right now, short-term, we could still have volatile, waves up and down. But this weekend, I'm watching for a nice recovery basis on Bitcoin, which will also lead to altcoins having a fairly good run. But in terms of the S&P 500 and the RSI, so here we have RSI, S&P 500, and RSI Bitcoin now together in the oversold zone where historically fairly rapidly a bottom formed, which is again why I've been watching the S&P 500 and Bitcoin in terms of RSI standards fairly closely. Of course, could we go a little bit lower on these RSI points? Yeah, we could, but around this range, we should be looking to see the bottom formed. Now, could the bottom be formed at around 28K on Bitcoin, right? Yeah, it could, but I'm not seeing that on the chart. In fact, on the chart, I'm seeing either this level being held that we just recently hit, or either that demand zone going back as far as, the May timeframe, which would still be above the 30K zone, which is totally fine in my opinion. It's still a higher low since going back as far as the summer timeframe, and it will still build out that nice floor model to push above the all-time highs in the long-term span. So, again, I'm not too worried right now. I think that we are near our bottoming point. I think a lot of people are also watching this closely. Like, for example, Curious Bitcoin setup here. Same conditions, then 29K bottom, OBV breakout, trendline, and big divergence. Horrible daily, but quoting my fellow income sharks, bottoms look ugly. That's why everyone missed them. And that's exactly what we've seen, again, during 2021, or 2020, before we went on that 2021 massive rally. In my opinion, I'm not saying that this looks bad just yet. Like, I'm not saying like, hey, we are in a bear market, because it just doesn't make sense to. In terms of these very ugly trend lines that we are seeing, massive downtrends, all of this is telling me, hey, we are in, near that bottoming point where things look extremely, bad, similar to the 2020 timeframe of March, where everyone thought that we're going lower, bear market, it's all over, the bubble popped. That's exactly why I'm not fairly bearish right now, because everybody else is, and I'm not going to follow, the entire herd. We also see here, asymmetry still there, accumulation still there, panic gets you nowhere. This goes back a little bit in time, but shout out to Tech Dev for this, but we do see again, Bitcoin upside asymmetry still looking strong. We look like we are in that solid accumulation zone before that massive breakout point. Again, this is also during the bottom points of, massive accumulation and price. So I'm watching this very, very closely to see where this, leads to. In my opinion, we lead to a massive breakout point, and that is because on-chain metrics are telling us exactly that. We are seeing massive accumulation. There's not a massive overselling happening from whales. I mean, there's bids. There's massive bids around this range. So to me, things still look pretty solid. In terms of altcoins like XRP, Hbar, XLM, QNT, things like that, again, could we go a little bit lower on them? Yeah, but I do believe that we are still around our bottoming points throughout the entire market. While everyone is still expecting more downside, I'm still sitting here saying, hey, things still look pretty strong. I'm not too concerned at all. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on if you guys want more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, up to you all. Have a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.